Okay. Boom. Good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are and wherever you may be. My name is Samuel Davis III, and I am the host of Uplift Your Community, Uplift Our Community, powered by Bridge Visions. I'm sorry about that. Today's subject we want to talk about today, folks, is America has a birthday coming up. 250 years in July. United States of America will be 250 years young. Um, Interesting subject to talk about because how many civilizations have we known that have lived and have lasted more than 250 years? There are quite a few. So America really at 250 is pretty young. Um, I'm trying to think of going back in my history, I know it for a fact that the Moors were in Spain. They said Moors actually were running Spain for almost 700 years in Spain, and there's still a lot of their works and a lot of their art and crafts that are still out there today that it still reflects in the country. So with America being 250 years old, I don't even know where to start at with this subject, guys. Honestly, I do not know where to start. I have my idea about America, and it is changing right now as we speak. And we're at a tipping point right now in America. I don't know where it's going to end at, but I think that after the end of this administration, there's going to be something new. I don't know what it's going to be like, but there's going to be definitely something new. What do you guys got to say about that? Jump in.
So what are we becoming, right? So that's kind of like what we want to focus on. And so it's funny. I remember the 200, right? We had all this dream, all this hope, and all this thing about renewable energy and all this stuff. Well, guess what? We're still not there. It's 50 years later. You know
Mhm.
what? My feeling on this, my feeling is we actually lost a lot of our freedom of speech. Back in the
Mm,
70s and 80s, it seemed like we have a lot more. Now it's a little bit lesser. It's a little more filter. Like for
mm,
example, like the news and things like that. It's very filter now. That's what it seemed like.
mm,
So these are things that I kind of feel that's what's going on right now. And so I think like the narratives being really pushed hard toward us again. Things of that nature. So these are things we got to be aware of, especially for us in general as a nation. But the other thing that, like, even for me, I think is was really disappointing, especially for my kids and my grandkids' generation.
mm,
They didn't teach creativity. They took away the art. They took away all the beautiful things that make the world so magical and
mm,
become more robotic, like, things like that. I actually felt disappointed. Now, I think from a technology base, we've gotten so much better, right? We've gotten so much better with how and things like that. Like we can solve things quicker, we can heal things quicker, and things like that. That is a really positive thing. The humanoids, robot are coming along, so some of
mm,
these mundane work will go away and things like that nature. My thing is at some point, um, you know, at some point, I think that, like, for me, I would love have somebody to drive me around, like Johnny Cab, right? It's sitting there, so I'm so glad with that. I don't wanna drive anymore, but things like that to me is positive, but also from the health perspective, there's enough technology that we can actually live longer, healthier, and happier. That's a
mm, mm.
but the price we pay for it, it's extraordinary, unfortunately, for human.
Gordon, what do you got to say about that?
Um, I think it's interesting that Benji mentioned technology because I think that the U.S. and the rest of the world have all been very focused on technology. When I think of technology, I think of comfort of living. Like we're trying to be more comfortable. Like I remember when I was a kid, you had to run up to the TV and change the channel every single time. Now you can get stuff from your phone, push it to the TV, watch it on the
Mm,
TV, control like just from the comfort of your sofa or whatever. And so maybe I don't speak for Benji, but maybe Benji was saying that the cost was that as technology improves, our health declines maybe a little bit.
Mm.
And if we focus too much energy, from my perspective, if we focus too much energy on technology, and I'm not saying that you can focus too much, like I'm saying let's grow, right? I'm not saying stop technology, but I think that if that's all we focus on, then we're not investing enough energy, resources, whatever it might be, in say our spiritual growth or our
Mm.
mental health and things like that. And so that's, as Benji was talking, that's what was going through my head, I think.
Mm.
I think when we first talked about this topic, my thoughts were that we have to be very careful. I think, and I'm sure there's people who disagree, but we have to be careful when we use the term America and when we say United States, because America is not turning 250. From my understanding of history, right, the United States as a country is turning 250 years old.
Mm.
And so just those terms can feel like they're interchangeable, but I don't believe that they are. I believe that America starts at the top tip of like Canada, goes all the way down to the tip of
Mm.
Chile or wherever the
Mm.
southernmost point is of South America is, because it's South America, it's Central America, and North America.
Mm.
And if we're gonna celebrate 250 years of America, that that's not entirely accurate maybe, and doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm focused on something that doesn't matter. I don't know.
It,
No,
it,
no,
it does. It does. It does.
yeah, it does matter. I remember many moons ago when I was stationed in the UK. I was living in England, and they would say America like it was the land of gold. They said, "Oh, you're from America," and then
Hmm.
the accent, and it was like, "Oh my gosh, I loved hearing the accents."
Hmm.
And they would just say it like it was the land of plenty and just milk and honey and everything that we dreamed it was, that Walt Disney, you know, visioned it to be. That's when I think of America, and I know that's literally, I hate to use the term whitewashed, but it's the whitewashed, it's the whitewashed version of America. The folks see it, and that's what everything has been based upon. And real talk, um, since I had to say whitewash, I got to throw in race. It's huge. It's
Hmm.
huge. We just had last week, Vice President J.D. Vance said America no longer has to apologize for being white.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know how you all take that. That hit me in a different way. Um, who said you all had to apologize? First and foremost, nobody said anything about apologizing, and I think that was I don't know what that was from him. I think that was something that he's dealing with internally, and
Hmm.
maybe he might be speaking on behalf of the white constituents of America. Maybe they'd be able to speak up on that. But to sit back there and say you don't have to apologize no more for being white in America, where did that come from? I mean, I don't know if you heard that. Benji, did you
Hmm.
hear that at all? Did you hear that statement?
Hmm.
And you're right,
Yeah.
right in the great state of Texas,
Yeah.
where
We
it don't
don't.
come no whiter.
Yeah, and they don't apologize. Yeah, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
Nobody apologized, and I don't apologize for being who I am either. But
Mm,
like we have that kind of like in Texas, like we're proud of who we are. We
mm,
don't really mind it. We also know where we are too, right? We know our places, right? We would take the battle from there.
mm,
Back to the Gordon thing. This is what for me was, I think, where we've been talking about. Like we have all this innovation. Like
mm.
you can buy a flat screen TV for 200, like $350. Flat
Yeah.
screen TV, a 72. You know, but it's like but we can't help with like Medicare and all this other stuff. Like like my premium for my healthcare is like 1,200, 1,150 or something like that, right? A month. I mean, that's crazy, and
Mhm.
things like that. So these are things that I think like we have to find that balance where that you know why can we have more of that technology focused on and having like the healthcare be better than our flat screen TV, right?
Mm.
Gordon is proper. I mean, people here so invested in that flat screen TV is ridiculous, right? They they've been watching Walmart sales for like all the 72 inch is not big enough. They want the 85 inch. 4K is not good enough. They want the 8K. Dude, I'm like, what do you need to watch to see? It's like just like it's like if that was an imaging thing for like your bone scan, your X-ray scan. I think that's great. If you're gonna do like those things, those are technology that should be very focused on for sure.
Mm,
And then spiritual health, it's a big deal. Creativity is a big deal. I think like one of the things that to me is like even I was not very comfortable with it where that in West Texas, like the church and school was separated, right? But it
mhm,
was really driven with church or like focus. In Asia, the church and school are together. They teach together. We go to
mm,
church. We go to class in the morning. We go to church in the afternoon. Like it's just normal. It's right next to
mm,
each other, and we don't distinct any of these things. Things like that. We understand that. So that's our culture. Things like that. That's
mm,
something that now because we're turning 50, you have all these people that are coming from other part of the world. Not just like Christian, Muslim, Buddhism, Zen, all these other things. So yeah, it's gonna it's gonna be an interesting next 50 years for sure.
is it are you do you plan on being around this next 50? You're gonna be a hellraiser, Benji? Because it seems to me the last time we've been having a conversation, you've been kind of fired up lately, Benji. Like
Yeah,
spiritually wise, you've been like
yeah,
ready to roll. So
I
I'm
do,
just
I
curious.
do, I do, I do.
Are you ready for a change, and do you think that you're a part of this change? How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I have to be because
Mm,
I'm a leader now, right? Back to
mm,
what we're talking about. I am not just a little branch anymore. I've grown up,
mm,
right? And so my responsibilities uplift everybody. Things like this is it's like when I was in my 20s, I didn't have that voice I do now. And I
mm,
also have discernment and I also have the strength I've been through. Because I got knocked down like you many, many times. I got up. And there's a reason that I was able to get up is because I'm supposed to be here and
mm,
demonstrate that. And these are things that, like, I was given to do. Now, is it gonna be easy? I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be. Resistance is always difficult, and these are things that we gotta face, and we gotta teach our children about those things, like, what is it value-wise? Is it worth it? So let's talk about economics. Is it worth me losing my soul to build a billion-dollar company? No. Okay. This is what I'm trying to explain to these people. You know, you're gonna build a multi-billion-dollar company, but look what you're doing to your soul. Are you sure you want to do this? Because this is a tough one. Because in order to do that, you have to sacrifice a lot of your soul. And I don't know anybody that didn't do that. I did it. I didn't feel good about it, but I've learned not to ever do that again. Oh, not only I did it once, I did it twice. So I got a third time right now. Learn not to do this, okay? So I'm not the smartest in that part either. So I know that part, but I'm willing to make that choice. Now, am I gonna, m- you know, I'm never gonna be like, people's, you gotta be a starving artist. That's not who we are. We can
mm,
thrive and still be successful and also have a soul, things like that.
mm,
Things like this are difficult conversation. But the thing about this is where I differ now because I finally learned what the Buddha was teaching me when we were young. We can't really change anybody. And our job is not to rescue anybody. Until they come to us, we just have to like be present for them. And that's it. Just like with you and your wife with the situation with your father-in-law. All you can do is be present for her. That's
mm.
it. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
let's set it, let's set in the example. I think that's what it is. In particular, somebody needs to set the example right now with this 250 years that we're in with America. And I don't know who it is. I do believe I'm a part of that movement, just like you, Benji, just like you, Gordon. We all are a part of the movement. The one thing that I want to say is kind of interesting because Benji, you dabbled and lived and helped make a part of this capitalist society that we're in right now, working with Salesforce and doing all the software development, all the stuff that you were a part of it, and you are a unicorn with the fact that you actually been in it, produced it, and did things in it, and jump back out and have this frame of mind that you do. Because right now honestly, America is on steroids trying to make money. They're not thinking about anything else. They're not thinking about trying to help other countries, or excuse me, help the people within our country. They're not thinking about that at all. But other countries do. Other countries sit back and think about their the people in there within their country. America's a little different right now. And you know, when we were talking about technology, I was thinking back, there was a book that I read. It was called Guns, Germs, and Steel, and it was a history book. And what it was like those three things that were transported from the old world coming into the new world: guns, germs, and steel. When people were coming across the country, they were bringing that guns and was just terrorizing the world. They were bringing steel and showing people how to make steel, and the industrial revolution, and then the germs. They had all of those diseases that were coming, that they were bringing Christopher Columbus, and when they were wherever they landed at, they were killing all of the natives, because it was a crazy. We talking about technological time. That was a wild, wild time. Right now, we're on another similar pace with that. That pace right now. We got things going on right now, like data centers that are nuclear power plants that are pulling nuclear power and taking waste and are hiding it. I had a government job where I would fly drones over this area wherever they were dumping nuclear waste at. And all we did was just fly it over and just look at the area, just make sure it hasn't changed. But there are things that we are doing right now, just like along the lines of that book that I read. You know, we're poisoning the earth with our lust for power and energy and everything else. And I just want to throw that aspect in for us us talking about technology, and it just came to my mind. So yeah, it sucks. Gordon, you got a comment on that?
Yeah, I think it all seems to contribute to this idea of focusing on technology versus focusing on the other aspects of being a human being, which in my mind I'm thinking about my mental health and my spiritual health, right?
Mm,
And so I know Benji said selling his soul. That term is such a strong term, right? And I
mm,
think that it can be something that is that there are degrees to it, right? So in my life, I've worked for large corporations, and when I worked for these corporations, I don't think I really thought about the damage that these corporations are doing to society. I guess whether it's through health and diet, or commercialism and all of that stuff.
mhm,
But and at the same time, while I was in those situations and currently am in that situation, I do try to think about like my own personal finances and what banks do I put my money in, where do I open my checking or savings or credit cards, or do my transaction processing and things like that, because where we keep our money contributes to how what
mm,
kind of resources these organizations have to build and continue to grow only technologically, and not and neglect maybe the other areas of life. And then I also think about companies within their companies.
Hold on,
How do,
Gordon. Can you just where we put our money? Go a little bit further than that. Where we put our money? Expound
yeah,
on that.
so one of the things that I I have done, or have done maybe even recently, is in the formation of like LLC, and the structuring of multiple DBAs within the LLC, just basically the business structuring of my business, and deciding, for example, how am I going to process transactions, like the merchant accounts, right? And so normally, or what I have done for a long time, is I had a Square account, and I would use my Square account to process transactions, take payments, send invoices, all of that stuff. And I'm not trying to knock Square, right? But I recently switched to Stripe, because as I did my research, I realized that Stripe actually does more socially conscious things within their
Mm,
business, how they treat their employees,
okay.
even what kind of outside movements they support and things like that. And that's just through my research. And I mean, we could always do research on everything that we put our money in. But like one of the other things is like I've switched bank accounts from like Chase to San Diego County
Yeah.
Credit Union, or even where I spend my money. Like I try to focus on buying healthier foods with like less ingredients or more whole ingredients and things like that for my physical health, right? And so I think that we need to try to do more research on our own as individuals as to the impact that the where the money sits has a big plays a big role. If you have a big, for example, if you have the Starbucks app and you say put $20 in there because you're going to drink maybe a few Starbucks throughout the week or whatever, how many millions of people have $20? And multiply that 20 times million, Starbucks now becomes a bank. If Starbucks has 20 million, I'm sure they've got more, I don't even know, dollars sitting in this account where people just sit the money there, doesn't would that increase their power, or does that make them more influential? I mean, can they use that in a way that benefits them, even though the money is yours and it's sitting in there, and at some point you're going to deplete those funds to buy your coffee? That you think about these companies where you think of like McDonald's is not fast food, it's a real estate company, these terms that people say. You
Mhm.
think about Starbucks is not a coffee company, it's a bank or something like that. And so if we don't understand all of these parts or facets that contribute to where society is going, then we're either moving forward or we're not, or we're standing still, or we're actually holding ourselves back. I don't know if that all
Mm,
makes sense.
mm. No, I hear you on that. I think everything that we're doing right now is when you're talking about following the where the money goes and how it starts, where I put my money in, because that represents everything that you're doing. And so what you're basically saying is I know I spend money like that. I put my money and I put my investments and I spend my time in places where it's going to be fruitful, where I know that even if I put $5, $10 in towards it, it's going to it's going to be something that's going to be helpful for someone. It's
Mhm.
going to be something positive. And even if it's a small thing, I think it's important. And I think what you're saying is just look at your financials. And I think what we are saying with our group here is the same thing with our lives, is those little small things that you're going to do. Where are you investing your time with? Who are you spending your time with? How do you spend your time with the person?
Mhm.
um, being that I am now a Baha'i faith member,
Mhm.
speaking with neighbors is a big thing for me. Communicating with my neighbors, and I've never had a a sense of community as I have right now. And it sounds funny, but when you think as a Christian, there is all this uplift and love and everything else, but I haven't got as much of the feeling that I have from the Baha'i group versus the Christian. And I say that just as a as a new member. So it's kind of difficult when you first get saved. People go to church and they get saved, and all of a sudden they're the hottest thing around. They want to talk about Jesus or their God all day long. I know this is just went way off off
No,
subject.
No,
you're
no.
good. You're good. You're good. You're good. But this is actually a good kind of like talking about the 200 year of United States, right?
Right.
So in the 200-year celebration, I remember banking and financial people so well respected. Now, to me, at this point in my life, I told you I work with Chase. I told you about the story about the 9/11 thing. I
Mm,
am absolutely disgusted with them. I told people all the time, like, take your money, take your investment out, because they're all about that dollar and cents, right? This is
mm,
the 9/11 story. It's like, after 9/11, they were funding some country over there, and the margin was really, really high. And me and Gail, we were military kids. We asked him, how you know you're not funding terrorists? The answer was they don't care because the margin was so high. So
wow.
I told my dad, I said, "My dad, take your money out." And like Gordon, I put my money in small local bank now, you know,
Mm,
there's the bank in Texas. There's a bunch of mom and pop banks. Go for that. And then the other thing too. This is my thing too. I should have like support my people, like the Asian community and things like that. I should open a bank there too, things like that. So
mm,
things like the little thing you can do to be helpful to your own community. The small bank needs your help and things like that. So
mm,
what in 50 years, what we find out, the people like with the financial and things like that, they become more stronger. They become
mhm,
more powerful. Chase and Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and all that, and these are continue to get bigger and bigger every single time, more powerful every single time the recession comes. So how that works, the rest of the people are suffering, and they are just like taking ownership of all the real estate and things of that nature. So it's a eye awakening. So back to what Gordon said about like selling my soul. Think about these people that actually the people that movie uh, had a story about building the atomic bomb. I will tell
mm,
you, those people feel bad now because they built the atomic bomb. So I feel bad now because we helped move in, pioneer the internet. It should have been for the better of the humanity, but look what happened to it. So
mm.
now we got another chance to do it again with AI, another chance to improve and uplift our our community. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna do another Pornhub, another one of those? It's like, are you
Hey,
serious?
you
And
know what, Benji?
yeah,
Unfortunately, I mean,
you
I
know,
generally try to be an optimist about a lot of things.
yeah.
Right now, it's like I said at the beginning of this of us recording here today. Um, I don't know. Whatever comes after this is going to be awesome. But
Yeah.
right now, the way it looks, the way America at 250 years old
Mhm,
it looks, man, we have tanked. I feel
mhm,
now again that's being someone who's lived overseas, lived in different countries, just like yourself and I have. There was a pride I had. I used to walk around,
mhm,
my host country, my host nation,
mhm,
and walk around and hey, you're American. Hey, we talk and it would just
mhm.
interactions would be great. Now, man, that just
Yeah.
at 250 years old,
Mhm.
America looks horrible, looks petty, looks murderous. I mean, literally murderous. So man,
Yeah.
we're in a tough situation.
Yeah, my like I said, my stepdad fought for this country, right? I mean, it's
Mm,
like I was actually went to his grave in Dallas Memorial this last week, and I really truly missed him because he was a noble guy. I know
mm,
he would have been disappointed what's going on right now, and
mm,
things of that nature. It's like, it's like what is that thing with the Marine? You help people that can help themselves, right? That's
mm,
like the Marine motto. Like, yeah, like we're the one bullying people now. That's just not right. The thing
mm,
that's going on in the world. But
mm,
ultimately, I think that at some point, some something positive will show up. I'm not sure
mm.
it's going to be in my lifetime. I hope it
Mm.
is. I would love to see that for my kids, my grandkids, for sure.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, with all that being said, because I sure don't want to end up closing off on some gloom and doom.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to leave off with something positive. So generally, for the most part, we try to leave with I
yeah,
try to leave us with something positive, and I actually wrote something down through I had something through Chat GPT, believe it or not,
yeah.
since I was messing with it today. And my thing that I want to leave, and I'm gonna pass it on to Gordon if you had to close out as well too. But my thing, I try to leave with something, and what I came up with this was when you're talking with someone out today or this week, because this is what since we are here on Fridays, you know what I did not do this week, and I'm sorry, people who are in the audience right now, please forgive me because I did not put up our links to have you come in for our audience in case you wanted to come in and add. So I totally forgot. We were chatting so much, and let me just put that up there right now. Wow, please forgive me about that, folks. I did not have we had some folks and we still have some folks in listening live right now. I did not put in our chat so that you can get in, so forgive me. But I'm gonna put this in here and I want to say that QR code. There it is, right there. Join our studio. Okay. So what I did want to say was when you're having a conversation with somebody and it seems like it's you're having a conversation and a lot of times people are just talking. It seems like they're talking to respond and they're not listening. My challenge this week is for you and each and everyone who's listening when you're talking to somebody, especially when you start getting to the heat of a conversation. I sometimes I have conversation to get kind of confrontational where like right now I'm looking in my camera and I see they're getting ready to drop my in-laws off right now. Sometimes you have conversation with somebody and they're kind of angry. I don't know if you have those kind of situations where a person's angry and they're because of their situation, they're pissed off at something. You don't know what it is. And they're talking and they got all kinds of things to say, and you're listening to what they're saying. My challenge is um my challenge is for you to try to listen this week. Try to listen this week without a counterpunch, without trying to set up that little counterpunch. You know, when someone's talking and you're going, okay, I hear him talking right now. Okay, I hear him. Now, when he finishes, I'm going to come over here right from the back and I'm going to tell him, shut up. And let me tell you, blah, 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 blah. This week's challenge is just try to listen a little bit more. So we do this every week, 2 p.m. And I just wanted to give our final word out, and that was my word today, is just try to listen without giving a counterpunch this week. Gordon, I know that's my worst kind of ending for today because I'm trying to look up at this camera here and get my parents in. But anything else that you have to say?
No, I think I agree with you. I think that trying to listen to learn instead of listening to respond is a powerful thing, and sometimes conversations can be slow, and you can take a little time to think before you respond, and not just try to respond to sound smart or to sound superior or whatever. But I think that as far as America or the United States becoming 250 years old, I'm proud to be an American. I really am. I know we have a lot of flaws, and just like anybody else, there's plenty of people that I love and that are dear to me with
Mm,
lots of flaws, right? And if I don't stick with them through the downtime, then what kind of a friend or loved one or whatever am I? And so I love this country. I I I know that this country is going to be great, and we just have to work through these issues. And if they're not brought out into the open, we can address them. I think
mm,
that we see that with a lot of like social activists, a lot of nonprofits. People are just really starting to step up and try to look out for each other and
mm,
unify a little bit more. So I'm
mm,
proud of that.
mm. Benj, you want to add anything to that? I think that's a great thing that Gordon said because I love America too, and my
Yeah.
people have been here for a long time. And I tell you right now, I
And
love it, and I know we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of dirt going on, but I know I want to be a part of the change, and that is what I'm committed, and that's why we're here right now. We are
agree.
committed to this change in America and uplifting our communities first, and then it spreads out from there. So, with that being said, Benji, give us some
Agree.
final words, man, and close us out so we can start our weekend.
I agree. I agree. This is still the best game in the world. Okay,
Mm,
it's got the most freedom. We still have the most hope, and we make a difference.
okay, there we go. All right. With that being said, everybody, thank you for participating and watching the show. We have an app coming out. If you reach us out at is the website ready now, Gordon? Right now, should we send them there right now?
Yeah, that's fine.
www.upliftourcommunity.com is our website. We have an app in beta right now coming out that will give you access to the website. And also, Benji actually brought up here about his playlist. Benji, I
Mm.
just saw this pop up. When you're talking about trying to keep everything straight and calm down in the middle of some heat, we got, my goodness, that's actually long, huh? Do you have a smaller one, Benji? Because I got Joyful Headspace. Let me see if I can get this in here and copy this.
No worries, no worries. It's not
We'll,
that
we'll
bad.
catch. Maybe we'll catch it on the next
Yeah,
one.
yeah. We'll do
And
it on the
okay,
next one. Yeah, yeah. We're on
we'll give a list up for your
Yeah,
music because Benji is an AI musician.
that's
Is that
right.
is that right to even say that?
I'm not even sure. I think it's like we just we artists, right? That's how we
He's
are.
an artist. Yeah.
He's an artist. Okay, there we go. Well, with that being said, everybody, we'll see you next week. Take care and be blessed. Take care now.